Roman Reigns might be too savage for his own good.
What up, Oos?
Friday Night Smackdown, you know what time it is. You know what we're tuning in for. It's our review. Let's get right into it. The show started off with the right-hand man, the main event, Jey Uso. He's in the ring and he introduces a grandiose introduction of his cousin, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes out. He goes on to talk about Cesaro. This is what I mean in the beginning when I said he's too savage for his own good. So he talking about Cesaro in the match they're going to have this Sunday at WrestleMania Backlash. He talks about how many title matches Cesaro has had, and Heyman promptly says 0. Then he says how many have I had, and Heyman promptly says 39. And then that was the end. He goes straight to Jimmy Uso. So he's a little bit too savage for his own good because he totally just buries him like immediately off the rip. Yeah. The fact that he brought that up and just immediately just cut it and was like, all right, we're done. Let's go straight to Jimmy is savage. So then he goes to Jimmy. He's obviously having the beef with Jimmy. Jimmy comes out, interrupts, and they go in a back and forth. Basically, Roman telling Jimmy, do you think you could do what I do? Do you think you could be the Universal Champion, carry the whole company on your back, be the face of the company and all that, and be the big main event guy, main event 5 WrestleManias, all that good stuff. And he says, do you even think you could beat Cesaro?
Championship against Cesaro. Hell, just show us that you can beat him. Can you do that? Can you beat him?
Beat Cesaro. And then he goes and promptly challenges Cesaro to a match, which here comes Cesaro. And he says, yeah, let's have a match. And they're going to have the match in the main event. So that's the way the show started off.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought he was a savage, but I think you have to be a savage because he's a tribal chief. He's the head of the table. He has to prove the fact that he's the family leader, and by shitting on his family, he has to prove the fact that, he's the top dog. And so I love that part. I love the interaction. I still think, Jimmy and Jay, they're brothers. Like, they're going to have to come together, and they're going to have to work with Oos, like with the big Oos. That's the way it's going to work no matter what. I think there's a ploy here to get to Cesaro, but we'll get to that. But I thought it was a good way to start SmackDown.
It was a solid way to start off SmackDown. I like the animation of Roman Reigns in this promo, too, how he really got upset with Jimmy. So that's good stuff.
Like, he stared him down. There was a point where he just eyeballing the crap out of him, especially when he was joking around with the calling out Cesaro thing. I thought that was good. But yeah, man, I mean, this whole family dynamic, I'm loving it. I dig it. I love the Oos. I love the Oos.
It's really good stuff. Next thing on the show was the women's tag team title match. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler taking on the Tamina and Natalya.
Yeah.
Now, all right. Whatever, the match is fine, solid little matchup, but they swapped the titles, and now Tamina and Natalya are your new tag team champions. Now, fine and dandy, great moment. Finally, this should have happened at WrestleMania, or at WrestleMania Backlash, because it is like a big moment, right? So they should have done that. So you have the second generation tag team. They're in the ring. Tamina, been with the company for so many years, never won much of anything. Pretty much had like one title match, and that's pretty much it. And then she finally wins the title here, her first major title. So it's a big moment.
Be remembered in a documentary 30 years from now on Peacock. Tamina's first
big moment. Good for them. Happy for them. Now, again, as per usual, when it comes to these type of moments, if the work begins right now and how they book this afterwards and going forward, if they can make these titles relevant, mean something, be important, somewhat important. At the point they're at now, I don't think they'll ever be important, but you got to make them somewhat important and get some feuds in here that kind of mean something. So that's where the work is done. But congratulations to both, and obviously Tamina finally getting a championship in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, thank God the belts are finally off of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. We were just over it, beyond over it. Yeah. Every time they came on the TV, I just got upset and I wanted to walk away because just how horrible they've been booked. But yeah, this should have been done at WrestleMania. Like we talked about it during a WrestleMania review that we wanted them to win because it would have meant something, felt bigger than what the belts are. Because when you think about it, when you first saw these two girls, they were managing. One was managing the New Heart Foundation, the other was managing the Usos. So it's like, they've come a long way. That was a long time ago, and now this is where they're at. So it would have been a great culmination and becoming at the biggest event at WrestleMania. It means way less on SmackDown. It could have been a little more maybe on WrestleMania Backlash, but it is what it is. They dropped the belts. They had a nice little choke up moment, and good for them. They're vets, and they know how much longer they have in their wrestling business. Who knows how much longer they're going to be out there performing? So it was good to have them at least have their moment. But they should have probably done it at WrestleMania or at least a pay-per-view on Sunday. They could have waited literally 2 more nights and just done it there. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they should have just probably waited. It was a big moment for that. So the next thing on the show here is a Medal of Honor ceremony. It's Apollo Crews giving the Nigerian Medal of Honor to Commander Aziz, who's the guy is tall as hell enough, so they put him on like a, I would have to say like probably like a 3-foot platform, and so the guy's like pushing 10 feet at that point. So it was funny, and he has the most like cornball cheap looking medal to give him, so he gives it to Aziz for Aziz protecting him for the past like whatever, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Yeah, so it's corny, but in the end you have Big E interrupting, you have Sami Zayn interrupting, you have Kevin Owens interrupting. A big brawl ensues, basically just to set up a Fatal 4-Way match. Now, it's interesting, the Fatal 4-Way is going to happen on SmackDown next week. I understand why it's not happening on WrestleMania Backlash, because you already have 2 triple threats. So, I mean, obviously, you don't have like a Coleman, like just nonstop of these multi-man matches. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think they should have got rid of some of the triple threats, and this should have been a Fatal 4-Way to be on the show. But whatever, that's the way it's setting up. And then you have issues between Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville later on as well, when he sets up this Fatal 4-Way with all 4 of these people for next week's SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been better, this match on Backlash, just because it's like it's an IC belt match. You got a lot of big guys. You know, you have huge amount of talent in there. Probably would have been better, but it is what it is. They're gonna get their moment. I don't think Apollo drops it yet. I think they continue with him. You know, him and his big security, doing a great job being security. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was. It was a decent little segment to push the Fatal 4-Way match.
Yeah, it definitely was. Next thing on the show is Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. Remember last week it was Dominic versus Dolph. Dominic got the win, and the same result in this one. Rey Mysterio rolls up. Dolph Ziggler, small package, gets the win. So they have 2 up now on Dolph Ziggler going into the match at WrestleMania Backlash for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. So I do think they're going to swap the titles here, even though wrestling's reverse momentum kind of plays an effect here, because you had Dominic and Rey get wins over Ziggler 2 weeks in a row, so they're going with the momentum. So that would mean in wrestling, you know, the way wrestling universe works, the inverse happens, that, you know, the people going in without the momentum win the match. So I don't know, but I still think they're going to swap the titles. I think it's just the right time. They're pushing it and they're talking about it, acknowledging the fact that it could be the first father-son duo to win the titles or win a championship like that. So I think they're going to swap it on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense. Like, they've been on TV together for over a year, basically since the pandemic started. They've been one of like the main things. Not the main thing, but they've been pushed a lot on Raw, on SmackDown. So it just makes sense. And no respect to the Dirty Dogs, but nobody cares about them right now to be tag team champions. I think it's gonna be a little more interesting if we have the Mysterios as a champs.
Yeah, it'll be more interesting that way. The next thing on the show was Bianca Belair. She comes in, she's getting an interview with Michael Cole in the ring. She gets interrupted by Bayley. They go on a back and forth, and then Bianca kind of buries her by telling her that, look, you're just upset because at WrestleMania you were getting beat up by the Bella Twins, which kind of buries the Bella Twins too, while I was in the main event winning the championship. So that was a good shot at her. So we'll see how that match, I mean, it gives a little bit of something to invest yourself in the matchup this Sunday.
Yeah, it was a decent promo, decent little. Again, this booking is similar to the Sasha Banks booking with not a lot behind it, just simple, just getting Bianca kind of like her feet wet and getting her first feuds going. It's kind of what it feels like, just pretty routine, simple. Yeah. Nothing really that special, but whatever. Should be a great match. We have 2 great performers, and it's gonna be what it is. You know, Bianca's not gonna drop the belt yet. She's gonna continue being the champ, but it's not the best booking. I think it's kind of just very routine and very blah.
Yeah, it is pretty like kind of run of the mill. But next thing on the show, we have Shinsuke Nakamura taking on King Corbin, the King of Strong Style, versus the King of whatever King Corbin is the king of. So they have this match, and it's not the great. It's a whatever match. I mean, they don't have a ton of chemistry together. They feuded back a few years back, and it was kind of the same. Not a ton of chemistry between the 2 guys. Corbin, you know, gets the win, and then, you know, hits him after the bell. He would hit him with the Kinshasa, Nakamura, and then steal the crown, Corbin's crown, and put it on his head. And then you see him later like posing in the backstage in front of a mirror with the crown. So we'll see what comes of this. I mean, I kind of hope he brings out his Wrestle Kingdom crown. Nakamura does, but yeah, I mean, I guess Nakamura's doing something.
Well, I mean, he's a king of strong style, so it just makes sense for him to have that look. And Corbin as king, enough. It's been a while. Like, usually you're king for a couple. I mean, Jerry Lawler's been king for the 70s, but like just other people, it kind of runs its course as king. So let's just keep the king of strong style with the crown. And hey, Shin and Corbin, maybe something interesting, battling for the crown. Look at that little nice feud. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Next thing the show was the main event, Cesaro taking on Jimmy Uso, and Jimmy Uso's first in-ring action in the match in over 14 months. The match, a lot of fun between the two of them. They worked really well together, and it was a solid match. The only thing that kind of hurts it is that just a random interference by Roman Reigns. The point where he did the interference, it was kind of awkward as to why he would just interfere in that spot in the match. There was nothing really happening at the time that would lead you to believe that the match was going to end, that he needs to interfere. He interferes, calls disqualification. He's beating down Cesaro in the ring. They beat him down. He gets in the ring, and Jimmy's not having it. Jimmy walks away. He's trying to chase him and talk to him and yell at him and all that stuff like that. All the while, Jey Uso's left in the ring by himself, gets attacked and dropped with the neutralizer by Cesaro as Roman Reigns watches, and then he picks Jey Uso up again. He also knocked Jimmy down as well. So he picks up Jey Uso again. He hit him with another neutralizer in the face of Roman and tell him like come on, do something. And Roman stands there with it's a necessary sacrifice in the end when it comes to the tribal chief. So he's there to take his licks, and it's a necessary sacrifice for Roman Reigns. And
what's he doing to Jey? Come on, Jey, who's been stuck in the middle of this whole thing.
And that's pretty much it. That's where the show ends. So Cesaro hot finishing it at the end, but I want to bring up this too. He had a promo earlier in the night, which was probably his best promo I think I've ever seen him cut. He strung his words together very, very well. Talked about the past, intertwined it with the match he's having against Jimmy, and intertwined it with the acknowledged stuff that Roman says that he knows he will beat Roman at Backlash, and the WWE universe will acknowledge him as the Universal Champion. So that was a nice little touch to it. That was a very solid promo from him. Finally, you've been waiting for that for a while. But again, wrestling reverse momentum. He's coming in with all the momentum right now. He's gonna lose. He's not gonna be the guy to beat Roman Reigns, but at least something solid for Cesaro to do.
Like again, we always wanted this to be a setup, like just a jumping off point for Cesaro to become a big time star, and this promo helped. The way he ended SmackDown helped, where he was on top and destroying everything and looking like a $1,000,000 that he looks like regularly walking around the earth, I'm sure, but just like destroying, making it look more special. So I'm excited for it. He's not going to beat Roman. It's not his time to beat Roman. He's not built yet to beat Roman, but I think if he can get the jumping off point to start and get the rocket ship and moving up forward, and hopefully they continue pushing him the right way, and he keeps doing promos like he did tonight and looking as good as he did tonight. It's about consistency in doing that, and maybe at SummerSlam or down the road we'll have him beat Roman. But Roman, there's, again, like we've been saying for months, there's no need to Roman drop the belt. He is the main breadwinner, the main attraction. He's the guy in WWE right now in all of wrestling. I don't care what anybody says. Like, he's the main guy anybody talks about. So you just have to keep the belt on him till, I mean, you might never have to drop it. He could have a Bruno Sammartino run where it's like 5 years. Like, it's just like, there's nobody anywhere near his level right now. Like, that's including Seth, that's including Kevin Owens, it's including Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. Nobody comes close to Roman right now. They're not even in his stratosphere. He's on a different planet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see maybe Survivor Series Roman versus Lashley, the champion match.
Maybe,
that'd be awesome. And nobody touching Roman's the top guy in all of wrestling right now. Top guy. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But guys, that's our review Friday night SmackDown. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember, drop a like on this video. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Hit the chair in the corner, before it hits you first. Subscribe to the channel, notification bell, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow, 12:45 p.m. Eastern time, Backlash predictions going on there with SCW and Nonstop Wrestling Chat. Make sure you tune into that live stream. Let us know what you think of the card and everything like that, and our predictions that as they go through the live stream. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. And if it doesn't work, bro, don't to the job.
Later, deuces.